cheating wife faked DNA test to pass off a fair baby as mine. How I found love, justice, and revenge. The journey to this point in my life has been long and challenging. Growing up in a modest household, I learned early on the value of perseverance and resilience. My parents worked tirelessly to provide for us, instilling in me a determination to succeed against all odds. Despite the hardships, my childhood was filled with love and lessons that shaped who I am today. After completing my education, I entered the professional world with optimism and ambition. My career path wasn't straightforward, and I faced numerous setbacks. However, each obstacle strengthened my resolve to push forward. Along the way, I met Sheila, who became a significant part of my life. Our relationship, though filled with its own trials, taught me invaluable lessons about love, trust, and betrayal. Ending my marriage didn't solve my problems. It marked the beginning of new challenges. This realization came from life's hard experiences. Now, as I sit in this cramped airplane seat, I reflect on how wise I think I am. In reality, I'm shattered. My confidence is in ruins. My health is deteriorating, and my faith in fairness is gone. Yet, at least the view from up here is breathtaking. In another 30 minutes, we'll land at my temporary refuge from the pain of my life, Duke's Lodge. After searching the internet for 2 days, I found Duke's. It sounded like the perfect place to hide. The description even said it was a good place to hide, and I believed it because it was on the internet. Here's what I read. Duke's Lodge is on the edge of one of Canada's most remote yet picturesque lakes, with an abundance of wildlife and some of the best fishing in the Northwest Territories. It's an excellent launching point for day fishing excursions, all-day trips, and overnight stays at one of Duke's remote hideaways. For the less adventurous, nature's beauty is just a short walk from the lodge. With luck, you might see Canadian geese, black bears, beavers, and moose. Duke's has 4 furnished rooms in the lodge and 6 fully furnished cabins. These rustic cabins are ideal for escaping civilization and modern life stresses. The cabins for 2 feature 1 bedroom with 1 double bed or 2 single beds. 2 rooms in the lodge can sleep 4 people comfortably. Duke's is also perfect for hiding from a spouse. Meal packages and long-term rentals are available upon request. Contact Duke Wayne for reservations and travel arrangements. The description sounded so good that I called immediately after reading it. Now, the little float plane that left Yellowknife an hour ago is bumping over the snow-capped peaks toward that picturesque lake in my haven for the next couple of months. I've never ridden in a float plane before, and it's a bit disconcerting. There are only 8 seats and 1 pilot, with most of the space in the back filled with boxes. I'm the only passenger. The noise from the props makes it impossible to do anything but look out the small window. I'd love to sleep and get a temporary respite from my misery, but that's out. What I should do is enjoy the view from 15,000 feet, but instead, I start reliving the events leading up to this flight. Until a month ago, I was married to one of the most beautiful women in our small Pennsylvania town, Henley. Her name is Sheila. She was born on the wealthy side of town, while I came from the working class side. My father worked in the factory her father owned. Despite our different backgrounds, we got married. I moved from one side of the tracks to the other 5 years ago. 2 years ago, we had a baby, Sarah, the most beautiful and loving child on earth. She is pure joy and my reason for living. Whenever I look at her, I thank God for blessing me. Sheila and I both worked for her father's company, Bloom Enterprises. I was an accountant, and Sheila was the customer relations assistant. Her father, Ezekiel Bloom, was the richest man in Pennsylvania and a formidable presence. He's on his 4th wife, Jennifer, a lovely trophy wife. Like many couples, Sheila and I had our ups and downs, but we usually worked through them without major issues. 3 months ago, my world was turned upside down when I found out that Sarah is not my biological daughter. She calls me Dee, and I call her my little angel, but a DNA test showed the truth. I cursed that test. Why did I do it? I wanted to protect my little princess. While waiting for her annual checkup, I read an article about how DNA tests can provide an accurate medical history for children, which seemed sensible since my sister died from a congenital heart defect. I wanted to ensure Sarah didn't inherit any genetic issues. I didn't tell Sheila about the test. There was no way to figure out who Sarah's father was because of Mr. Bloom's control over the town. I asked a college friend, a private investigator in Washington, D.C., to look into it. He discovered Sheila had been seeing another man since before we married. I had the proof to confront her, so I filed for divorce. That's when everything fell apart. Sheila denied it, and her father supported her. My out-of-town divorce attorney was outmatched by Sheila's team. Despite my evidence, the judge ruled in her favor. I had to pay child support for Sarah, lost our home, and my visitation was limited to 1 supervised weekend a month. I lost my job, friends, and trust in the judicial system. My depression worsened, especially because I couldn't be with Sarah. Sheila's father took away the one thing I loved most in the world, Sarah. Sheila never attended the hearings. It was just me and my attorney against Ezekiel Bloom and his team. I was left with nothing. Before I left town, the Bloom factory mysteriously burned down. I didn't do it, but I did bring the marshmallows. Now I sit in this noisy float plane headed to a temporary refuge. When I arrived, I stood on the rickety dock and looked at the lodge. Wow. This isn't what I expected, I said. The pilot unloading boxes replied, yeah, a lot of people say that when they arrive. It'll grow on you. The lake and mountains are beautiful, but the lodge isn't as grand as described. It looks like an old log cabin with a dirt path leading to the porch. I grabbed my bags and headed up the dirt path to the lodge, realizing I should have read the reviews first. Inside, a deep, gravelly voice from under the counter asked, "May I help you?" "Yes, my name is Leo Baker, and I have a reservation for one of your cabins." "Ah, Mr. Baker, I've been expecting you," said the lanky silver-haired man as he stood up. "My name is Duke Wayne, and I own this place." "Yes, my name really is Duke Wayne. My parents were big fans of John Wayne. I don't swagger like him, I just limp." "Your registration said you wanted a long-term stay. Hiding from the wife, eh? That's fine by me, but not if you're hiding from the law." "No, just a domestic issue. I don't want to be found for a while. I reserved a cabin and would like to negotiate a long-term rental." "Great, we close for the winter in October, but you can stay until then. The cabins are up the road on the other side of the hill. It's a bit of a walk, especially with luggage. This time of year you'll only have one neighbor. Breakfast is at 8 a.m. and we can discuss dinner arrangements then. If you need anything, check the bulletin board or ring the bell on the front porch. Here's your key to cabin number 2. It has the best view." "Thanks. Is there a phone or cell service?" "No phone or cell service, too remote. We have a radio for emergencies or ordering supplies. You can make a call through it. Most supplies have to be flown in and out since there are no roads to the lake." "Great, see you at breakfast." I walked up the hill with my luggage, realizing up the road was quite a distance. Duke might exaggerate, but at least there are lots of pine trees. Cabin looks rustic as advertised, but small. Inside, it's just a bedroom and bathroom. Smaller than most bargain motel rooms, but it offers what I need most, privacy. Let's see if Duke exaggerated about the view. Stepping onto the small front porch, I looked out toward the lake. Actually, he understated it. I can see the entire lake surrounded by lush greenery and sparkling water. The snow-capped mountains create a giant green bowl around the azure blue lake. It feels untouched by civilization, or unbelievable. "Yes, it is, isn't it?" said a voice from the trees. I turned to see a beautiful woman approaching. She's short and thin, with dark hair and a ponytail, wearing jeans, a red flannel shirt, and oversized boots, carrying a pail of water. Her skin is the color of warm cocoa, her eyes dark, and she has a sweet smile. She looks like someone from a tourism ad from Mexico, minus the sombrero. "Hi, you must be my new neighbor. I'm Annabella Williams. I'm in cabin 1 just through the trees. Duke told me someone would be arriving today. I've only been here a week, so if you have any questions, I might not know the answers," she said, introducing herself warmly. "Hi, yes, I'm in cabin 2. My name is Leo Baker. Nice to meet you," I replied. "Nice to meet you, Leo. Are you staying long?" Annabella asked, curious about my plans. "Yes, I think I'll be here all summer. How about you?" I responded, returning the question. "I'm not sure yet. For a while, I guess. I just don't know," she admitted. "What brings you here?" "I didn't see any fishing gear, so I guess fishing isn't the reason," I inquired, trying to learn more about her. "I'm here to get away from things at home. It's rough back there right now." I needed to think. "What about you?" Annabella explained, sharing a bit of her story. "Same reason. Problems at home, needed to get away." "Nice meeting you, Annabella. See you at breakfast," I said, concluding our conversation. "Okay, bye," she replied, turning to leave. She looks great walking away, too. I haven't thought about another woman like this since I met Sheila. I guess I'm allowed to now that I'm almost single again. As I watched her disappear into the trees, a thought struck me. I never believed in love at first sight, though I had plenty of lust at first sight moments in college. But thinking about this woman, I felt something different. It wasn't just lust, though she is attractive. Maybe it was a sense of familiarity. Her demeanor made me feel relaxed. I hope to get to know her better. Perhaps she's what I came here to find. Breakfast was basic: eggs, sausage, toast, orange juice, and coffee. I'll survive as long as I don't have to cook. The other 2 lodgers are clearly fishermen, wearing vests with fishing flies. I haven't seen Annabella this morning. Maybe I should ask Duke. "Hey Duke, where's the young lady near my cabin?" I asked. "Anna?" "She ate early and went to work. She sits on a bench past your cabin, watching birds," Duke replied. "She doesn't want to be around people much. Something's bothering her, but she won't talk to me. Maybe you can get her to open up. I've got my own problems. I can't take on anyone else's. No room in my head, I responded, feeling overwhelmed. Well, do what you want, but if I were younger, I'd try. She's the prettiest woman here since my Louisa died, Duke added, reminiscing. Thanks, Duke. I'll consider it. For now, I'll head back to my cabin and sleep. See you at dinner, I said, needing rest. I didn't mean to sleep all day. I guess the stress took a toll. Screw my ex and her family. I hope I haven't missed dinner. Knock, knock. Annabella's voice came through the screen door. Hello, Mr. Baker? Hi, just getting up. I guess the mountain air made me sleepy. How are you? I responded, shaking off sleep. I'm fine. I made soup and wondered if you'd join me. It's quiet up here except for the bear that visits in the morning. I'd enjoy the company, Annabella said invitingly. Bear? I asked, surprised. Oh, don't worry, he just looks for food. You'll learn. I'd enjoy some company too. Your soup sounds good. Let me clean up, and I'll come over in an hour, I replied, accepting her offer. I watched her walk away with a pail of water. She has a graceful walk and a nice pair of jeans. Her ponytail swayed with every step. Unbelievable. She said an hour, so 50 minutes should be fine. Yesterday I was in Henley, Pennsylvania. Today I'm in Canada with a beautiful woman. For the first time in months, life feels good. Knock, knock. Hello, neighbor, I said, arriving at her door. Mr. Baker, you're early. You should know better than to arrive early at a woman's place. I'm not ready yet. Give me a few minutes, Annabella said teasingly. I can go away if you like, I offered. No, just sit on the porch and enjoy the view. It's not as nice as yours, but still spectacular. Oh, and call me Leo, she replied, smiling. I sat down and admired the view. The mountains across the lake looked close enough to touch, but were probably a day's walk away. The quiet was deafening, and the air smelled of pine and whatever Annabella was cooking. Okay, Leo, soup's on. I hope you like it, Annabella called out. She was dressed for dinner, while I sat in jeans and a sports shirt. Her light blue blouse and dark blue slacks looked perfect on her. She wore sandals, and her hair fell over her shoulders. She was absolutely beautiful. Hey, Leo, wake up. Here's your soup, she said, bringing me back to reality. Oops, sorry, I was distracted by the view, I replied, embarrassed. Flatterer. Here, eat. It's not fancy, but it's edible. All I have to drink is water, is that okay? Annabella asked, serving the meal. Fine, soup and conversation go well with water, I said, grateful for her company. It took us about an hour to eat her delicious soup and share the basics of our lives. I told her about Pennsylvania, and she talked about Texas. I mentioned being an unemployed accountant, and she said she didn't work either. I shared about Sarah, and she said she had no children. It was all superficial, but it was a start. Leo, why are you here? You don't seem like a fisherman. This place is very remote. Are you here to get away from something? Annabella asked, curiosity evident in her voice. It's a long and painful story. I don't want to talk about it right now. Maybe later, I replied, deflecting the question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry, she said, sounding apologetic. That's okay. How about you? I asked, turning the focus back on her. Same thing, a long story I'm not ready to share, Annabella responded. You have a better view from your cabin. Maybe next time we can eat there. I'd like that. Thanks for dinner, your soup was great. Amazing what you made with that small burner, I complimented her. Well, I should go. Will I see you at breakfast? She asked, preparing to leave. Of course, have a good night, Leo, she said as she left. I reached my cabin and watched the sunset over the mountains. The view was stunning, and the sounds of nature were soothing. Everything was better in person than on TV. This must be what heaven's like. Usually I don't let my food get cold, but sitting across from Annabella made time slow. Breakfast was basic, eggs, sausage, toast, tomato juice, and coffee, but the company made it special. I motioned for Duke and he refilled our coffee. I'm taking the others out on the lake. Will you two be okay here? Duke asked. I looked at Annabella and answered, We'll be fine. Maybe we'll take that nature walk from the website. As we walked back to our cabins, Annabella said, Leo, that nature walk is the path from the dock to the cabins. Pretty, wasn't it? Maybe this place is less than I read online, I replied, smiling at her humor. What are your plans today? Nothing much. I usually sit on the bench on the hill or the dock and watch the birds. When the seaplane comes, I help Duke unload supplies. He never asks, but I do what I can. He's giving me a break on rent because I can't afford much. Duke is years old and has been alone since his wife died years ago, Annabella explained. Duke's quite a character. Sitting by the lake sounds good. May I join you? I asked. It would be my honor, she said with a mock curtsy. We walked to the lake, found old rocking chairs, and sat quietly for a long time, just rocking and looking at the view. Annabella seemed to start crying. What's wrong? I asked, concerned. Nothing, she replied, wiping her tears. Now I know something's wrong. Did I say something? What can I do? I pressed gently. I'm sorry, I have a lot on my mind. I don't want to burden you with my problems. You're here with your own worries, she said, sounding conflicted. I thought of a preacher from my childhood who said talking about problems can help. If you want to talk, I'll listen. You can't give me more problems than I already have. Maybe I can help, I offered sincerely. That's kind of you. I want to talk, but it's complicated, personal, and embarrassing. You're a stranger. How can I share my problems with you? Annabella said, hesitating. Let's trade stories. I'll tell you something about me, then you share something about you. We can go slow. I'll be an open book if you want to listen. I won't judge you, I'll just listen, I suggested. Okay, but you go first, she agreed cautiously. Where to start? Usually the beginning is best, I said, wondering how much detail to include. Okay, here goes. I was born and raised in Henley, Pennsylvania, on the working-class side of town. My dad worked at a factory, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I have an older brother and sister who live in different parts of the country. After getting my master's degree in finance from Penn State, I returned home because my dad had a heart attack and my mom needed help. I met and married a beautiful girl from the upper-class side of town. Her father owned the factory where my dad worked, and much more. Her name is Sheila. When I returned, I got a job as an accountant at her father's company, where Sheila worked as his assistant. 2 years ago, our daughter was born, and I loved being a father, but I found out I wasn't her biological dad. Sheila had a lover before we married, and he was Sarah's father. Our marriage fell apart when I discovered the truth. I had all the proof of her infidelity and planned to divorce Sheila and take Sarah. I didn't care that Sarah wasn't biologically mine. I loved her and wanted to raise her. But Sheila's father made sure that didn't happen. He handled the divorce, and I ended up with nothing. No job, no home, no wife, no daughter. I have to pay child support for Sarah and can only see her 1 weekend a month. I had to get away and figure out how to start over. That's why I'm here. Did you talk to your wife after filing for divorce? No, I had a restraining order keeping me away from Sheila and Sarah. I was fired and evicted. Her father controlled everything, so I couldn't do anything. Sheila never came to any hearings. Her father and the lawyers handled everything. If they took everything, how did you get here? My mom gave me some savings to leave town. It was supposed to supplement their income for old age. My dad has a disability pension, so they'll be okay, but not as good as they planned. I'd like to pay them back, but I don't know if I can. The memories made me tense and depressed. Sensing my mood, Anna changed the subject. My story is similar. My parents came from Mexico with my older brother and sister. I was born in Plano, Texas. My father left when I was 8, and my mother cleaned houses for a rich family. My brother was liquidated in Iraq, and my sister now lives in San Antonio with her family. I married Logan, a salesman for a car parts manufacturer. At first, he was sweet and made me feel like a princess. I had just finished culinary school and was looking for my first job as a chef when he told me he didn't want his wife to work. He felt inadequate if I worked, so I stayed home. Over time, our marriage soured. He became demanding and abusive. I endured it for a few years until I realized I was in danger and unhappy. I decided to leave. I found Duke's website, withdrew our savings, sold my car and wedding ring, and came here. I've been gone for 2 weeks. Sometimes I fear Logan will find me. I don't know what to do or where to go. I could stay with my sister, but Logan might find me there. I want to figure things out before I leave. All I can do is hope. Annabella, do people call you Anna? What can I call you? I like Anna. Well, Anna, we're in the same boat, escaping bad relationships and unsure about the future. I have some money, and if you need help to stay here and figure things out, I'm happy to assist. Just remember the offer. That's kind, but I don't want to take anything from you. You have your own problems, and you'll need your money. But thanks. Lost in thought, staring over the lake, our conversation stopped. Anna was also looking out, no longer crying. A big fish jumped near the dock, making her smile. And Duke thinks he knows the best fishing spots, she laughed, lightening the mood. We talked about college. Penn State excited her, and culinary school excited me because I love eating. We shared childhood dreams, pets, and friends. We talked until the sun was overhead and the calm lake mirrored the mountains. God, I love this place, Leo. I'm going to my cabin for a nap. If you want, I'll bring soup over tonight and we can talk more on your porch. I enjoy your company, is that okay? She ran her fingers across my hand, making me feel pleasantly startled. I'd love that. I enjoy talking to you too. You go ahead. I watched her walk away, amazed and aroused. She walked beautifully, making me think anything was possible. I turned back to see geese flying over the lake and soon fell asleep in the rocking chair. Knock, knock. "Anybody home?" Anna said through the screen door. "Hey, let me help. Put that on the table. I'll find some bowls. Sorry, I can't offer you wine, but maybe we can get some on the next supply run." We each had a bowl of her delicious soup, and I even had seconds. Sitting on the porch with my feet up, I felt content. Just like a man with a full stomach, ready to sleep, she teased. "Where did you learn to cook like that? It was delicious." "Thank you. I enjoy cooking and had a great teacher. He once had to eat whatever he could find, even from restaurant dumpsters, and called it heaven provides soup. My mother called it hobo stew. I just use whatever I have to make something enjoyable. I'm glad you liked it." We sat in silence watching the lake. 2 squirrels chased each other in front of us, providing some entertainment. "I always enjoy a little after-dinner show," I said, and she smiled. "Leo, you said you're married. Your marriage ended when you found out about your daughter's father. What did you mean?" I took a deep breath. I was married to Sheila for years, never knowing she had a secret lover. I was too blind to see the clues. When I got the DNA test results, I realized she was having an affair. I couldn't believe it, but the evidence was there. I asked a college friend, Ken Heighton, a private investigator in D.C., to help. He found out who Sheila's lover was, with photos and videos of them together. They had been lovers since college, I said, feeling the weight of the revelation. "I'm so sorry, that must have been horrible for you. It's crazy that someone could live 2 lives and not expect to be caught. What she did to you should be punished. What a cow." "Oops, sorry," Anna said, her empathy evident. "Sometimes it just comes out. I do understand a little Spanish, and you're right. I've thought the same things, but I'm not sure I want revenge. I just want to get away from her and her controlling father. I'm still figuring it out," I admitted, feeling a bit of relief sharing my story. Anna took the bowls back inside. When she returned, I turned to wipe a tear from my eye, but I think she saw it. "You know, Anna, talking about it makes me hurt all over again. I really loved Sheila and can't understand how she could betray me. You can understand the pain when someone you loved isn't who you thought they were." I saw in her eyes that she knew the pain I described. I put my hand on hers and she began to speak. "Leo, I feel comfortable talking to you. We've only known each other for a short time, but I want to be open with you like you've been with me. Some of what I'm about to tell you is very personal and hard for me to say. Please be patient with me. Just talk, don't worry about me. I won't interrupt. I'll be patient, and don't say anything that will hurt you. Okay, here goes. My marriage started out beautifully, but turned into a nightmare. The first signs of trouble were subtle. I loved my husband Logan and wanted to please him. Our sex life was great at first, but a few months after we married, he wanted to experiment. One weekend he became rough during sex, leaving marks and causing pain. It escalated over the next few weeks to spanking, slapping, and using toys that hurt. The more I protested, the more it excited him. One time when I was sick, he forced me to have sex, tied me to the bed, and struck me until I passed out. When I woke up, I was in pain, and he was passed out drunk. I later realized he was drinking and hiding it. Another time, he came home drunk and slapped me because dinner wasn't ready. He punched me so badly that I couldn't walk. He apologized the next day, saying it was the booze and promised to stop. I believed him and didn't tell anyone. He stopped drinking for a while and things were normal. Then he found a digital camera and made me pose undressed. When I resisted, he threatened to strike me and to share the pictures if I didn't comply. I obeyed out of fear. One day he came home drunk, demanded I strip and strike him with the camera. When I refused, a neighbor knocked, but Logan told them I had fallen. He threatened me with a knife if I ever told anyone. I was terrified and did whatever he wanted. I felt trapped and didn't know what to do. Jesus H. Christ. I thought my life was bad, but this poor girl has been tortured by a lunatic. I was so mad I started shaking. I wanted to hold her and tell her everything would be all right, but I didn't know her well enough to do that. I just stayed silent and shook all over. "Leo, are you all right? Please say something." I looked into her eyes and said, "My God, that's awful. I can't imagine what you felt. I'm so sorry." She got up, put her hand on mine and held it to her cheek. She smiled and my tension eased. "Thank you. You don't know how much that means." We held hands for a long time. "I should take the soup back to my cabin," she said, placing my hand on the armrest. "I'll see you at breakfast." After she left, I thought about her and her brutal husband. I eventually went to bed, but it took a long time to fall asleep with the new, awful images in my head. Finally, I drifted into a fitful sleep. Duke poured the coffee and observed, "Looks like somebody had a rough night." He's right, I thought. When I looked in the mirror, I saw bloodshot eyes and drooping shoulders. "Got any aspirin?" "I'll find some," Duke replied. I took a big gulp of coffee and looked around. The 2 other lodgers were finishing breakfast and I nodded to them. Anna was nowhere to be seen. Duke returned with aspirin and set it next to my coffee. This high mountain air will get to you, Duke said. Take it easy for a couple of days. Why don't you go out on the lake today? I'll get you a boat, and you can see what kind of fisherman you are. Good morning, Duke, Anna said, kissing his cheek and making him blush. Isn't it a beautiful morning? Your friend looks like he had a rough night. Duke filled Anna's coffee cup. She looked at me and said, Good God, you look terrible. What happened? Thin mountain air got him, Duke replied. He'll be fine in a couple of days. He walked back to the kitchen. Are you going to be all right? Anna asked, concerned. Yeah, once the room stops pulsing. Duke suggested a day on the lake. I might take him up on it. I haven't been fishing since I was a kid, I answered, trying to reassure her. Maybe you shouldn't go alone. I don't know anything about fishing, but I can keep you company, she offered. Or that might be nice. Got any sunblock? I asked. I'll check with Duke, she said. We ate Duke's usual breakfast of eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice, and coffee, with a side of aspirin for me. You seem happy this morning. Did the old preacher's advice work? I asked, curious about her mood. Confession is good for the soul. Maybe it did. I feel more relaxed. Maybe there is something to telling a friend your troubles. You are my friend, right? I did dump a lot on you yesterday, Anna responded thoughtfully. Nah, it's okay, I can handle it. And yes, I'm your friend, I assured her. As we left the lodge, Duke called after us. I'll put one of the boats in the water. Take it out whenever you want, Duke said. Thanks, Duke, I replied. Anna took my hand and we walked back to our cabins. Around, I met Anna at the dock. She wore a white, long-sleeved shirt, blue jeans, tennis shoes, and a white baseball cap. Her hair was in a ponytail. She looked beautiful, especially with the big smile on her face. I haven't had many beautiful women smile at me lately, I said, feeling a bit bashful. I found some sunblock. Duke has a supply cabinet with everything. How are you feeling now? She asked, handing me the sunblock. Better, the headache is bearable. A day on the lake with you is just what I need, I replied. She smiled at with you. It took a few minutes to get the motor started. We puttered around and finally stopped in a spot where we could see all sides of the lake. The lodge looked tiny from there. Duke had prepared everything for us. The poles were ready, and there was a little box with bait. Well, let's at least look like we know what we're doing, I said. I put a dough ball on one of the hooks, handed the rod to Anna, and she dropped the line over the side. I left the spoon on the other pole and put the line in the water. She watched and copied what I did. Now what do I do? She asked, holding the rod tentatively. Just wait and be patient, I said. We sat like that for a few minutes. Anna then said, Leo, I didn't think about what I was doing yesterday when I told you my story. I didn't tell you everything, and I think I added my problems to yours. I'm sorry. We don't have to talk about it anymore if it hurts you, but I feel better for having told you. And to be truthful, Anna, I did dream about what you told me. I thought about how brutalized you were. I look at you now and can't imagine someone wanting to hurt you. You're so delicate and beautiful. That's monstrous, I said, feeling a surge of protective anger. Did you just call me beautiful? She asked, a bit surprised. Yes, you are beautiful. Any man in his right mind would see that, and what I see inside you is also beautiful and quite fragile, I said sincerely. Thank you. I haven't been called beautiful in a long time. There are a lot of stupid people in this world. Thank you for not being one of them, Anna said, looking touched. Anna's rod jerked suddenly. What was that? She asked, startled. That's a nibble. Hold on to the rod, but not too tightly. Wait and see what happens, I instructed. We sat quietly, staring at her rod. Eventually, nothing happened. Relax, he's gone, I said. Anna looked from the rod to me. Can I tell you something? Sure, anything, I replied. You make me feel like a princess, she said softly. You are a princess, I said, smiling at her. She smiled. Thank you. We relaxed, taking in the view. Our eyes met, and she smiled her wonderful smile at me. I smiled back, thinking the view just got a whole lot better. She scooted over, put her hand on mine, and rested her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for a long time, just looking out over the lake. Then Anna's rod jerked downward again. Hey, our friend's back, I said, handing her the rod. The tip jerked violently. Hold on, I think we're going to have a visitor. Pull up on the rod and reel it in. The rod bent and shook as she tried to reel it in. I don't know what to do. Help me, Leo, she pleaded. Just hold on tight and put the back end in your hip. Start reeling slowly, I instructed. She did as I said. The rod was bucking, but she managed to reel in the line. Finally, a big splash broke the water a few feet away. Holy crap, she exclaimed. Keep reeling, I'll get the net, I said. I dipped the net into the water and pulled out a huge lake trout. Look what you caught. He's a beauty, I said, holding up the fish for her to see. Anna stared, wide-eyed. I know what we're having for dinner tonight. You called your soup Heaven Provides. Well, Heaven just provided dinner. I put the fish in the cooler. Wait till Duke sees this, he'll keel over. Anna, still in shock, suddenly jumped up and threw her arms around my neck, rocking the boat. Whoa, sit down. We don't want to go swimming yet, I said gently. She let go and sat down, looking sheepish. Sorry, it's just that I've never caught a fish before. Let's see if he has any relatives down there, I suggested. I put fresh bait on the hook and dropped it over the side. Sitting down beside her, I put my arm around her shoulder. She gave me the biggest smile and put her head on my shoulder, wrapping her arms around my chest. Thank you, she said softly. For what? I asked. For making me feel happy again. Thank you. She held onto my chest for a long time. Everything was quiet and peaceful on the lake. I could almost hear her heartbeat. I kissed the top of her head and rested my cheek on her hair. Both of us felt at peace for the first time in a long while. Holy Mother of God, where did you get that? Duke bellowed when I pulled the fish out of the cooler. I've been looking for him for years. Well, the little lady snagged him, I said, grinning. I had no idea what I was doing. Leo just coached me after he was hooked, Anna added modestly. Did I do okay? Little lady, that's a record trout for this lake. I'll bet he weighs 40 pounds or more. We've got to get the camera before we fillet him. You two are going on the bulletin board. We all walked up to the lodge, smiling and talking about the catch. Duke grabbed his camera and took pictures of Anna with her prize. We looked at each picture and smiled. Yes, sir, you two are eating fine tonight. I'll get him ready. Be here at 6 for dinner, my treat, Duke announced.